with a special edition Kanoic Rakan, Mask of Shadows, to represent him. Of course, the difference in that between the film is compared to the film is that the only example is that the set has got jaws that you can open and close. The guy himself is actually the same body design as his 2003 Titan form. Without jaws, the same body design as his 2003 persona. The only thing being added to him is the wings. And he has much crimson red and rusted greenish style on him, whereas the set is more like silver and blue, with a little bit of red on the paw and green, and a little bit of green around him. And the wings are more sharp, like extended sharpening, because Nivork's set had 2 Uvaka K-Rack pads on each wings, whereas Pterodax had 4 sharp tools built him as each wings. Of course, regardless of that, it did kind of play catch as a combine. It turned out to be the same guy, because you have a Taraga Duma Nivork set, and this small Taraga guy merged Nivork combined with Nivork Nidinkaraga makes the idea about Pterodax. The Pterodax was in Taraga Duma, merging Nidinkaraga and Nivork's bodies into his own style. And of course, similar plots about Vakama is that he did play a bit like Tahu. He did play back at Tahu in Mask of Light when it comes to depressing emotions. When they collaborate with the Tahu Vorta, but part of it doesn't act like him a bit, because I remember Tahu was rough. Because I remember Tahu's character is supposed to be rough, whereas Vakama is too nervous to be rough until 2005. Until around 2005, that's when he becomes rough. But around 2005, there was no bond between him and the Tahu Vorta. And the pillars is almost confused me. Like, why? When the first time I saw the film, when the pillars come out of the fields in the Colosseum, I was like, what's that supposed to do? What are they supposed to do? Dodge? But actually, Pterodax built that game to trick the Toad into thinking they could do it without their weapons, until they realized they are too weak. And calling them outlaws for Likan's capture, and even though they were trying to tell the truth, the idea that the Toa are considered outlaw, are considered a vigilante in the film, did kind of look like a share. Did kind of look like was also shared with The Dark Knight, which we'll go over about that film later when I get to more film reviews. And the discs. Yeah, I forgot to point that out. The Kanoka discs use the additional Kanoka. Every additional Kanoka are said to have used to have these symbols to represent used to have these kind of symbol patterns placed on the center part to represent the metro they originate. Like this is a Gar Metro disc. But the additional discs, film-wise, don't have the color print at all. It's just a plain. They're just plain old discs, and the symbol of these discs get to belong to the great discs, to the Torah cover. Like when we found a great disc on a Metro great disc, it does have the symbol on it. Whereas there are discs besides the Kanoka, besides the great disc that have that symbol. We still got to see those symbols in additional Kanokas, but in the film wise they didn't put into it. They didn't put the symbol details put into it, and they didn't. And the disc of time is coated in that glow silver rather than having it orange. It has the Mask of Time's picture in it. And one thing I would like to pretend is that the Matoran who helped them find the Great Disc, Nuri Vesla Tehuti Akmaneri, they did after Mabuzak's defeat. They still took them with them. They still have them with them throughout the course of 2004, and after Pterodax got defeated in 2004, somewhere around after the Voyage of Fear Mesa Shadow storyline, according to the novel book, which is on the novel books, Nuri's group was ordered to keep an eye on the remaining Matoran they picked up, while Vakama's group were on their own to rescue more Matoran in 2005. So I'd rather think of it that way. And the transformation into Taraga scene. Originally, I thought that would have meant that's all the 2004 storyline. and because they already rescued the Mator and transformed into Raga and came to retirement. But what I could have known, this is just the first year of the 2004 storyline, so they should have they need to give it time by continuing onwards to 2005. They put that to end the film franchise to end it with the three versions where Kama calls out the way of Bionicle, and then they end it that way. But other than that, the real ending is that the Toa. But other than that, the real ending is that the Toa do walk through that light and it ends it that way. Because in 2005, they didn't transform into Terra. They're not Taraga yet because they need to return from Momatoran. And the beginning of the film, I was like so they have an Amaya view of Metro Nui. An Amaya, as in the thing that they used to recount, Taraga used to recount the legend with the stones placed on the ground. And the shoots and I did think the shoots were kind of a bit of a catchy idea of the outside trains you see in Spider-Man 2 and Batman Begins. That's the next one we're going to go to later. And so yeah, it is a great animated film to focus on 1,000 years to understand ancient history. The one thing that was a bit sarcastic is that Anawa has to be forced into some things he wouldn't be fussed to do, such as wearing a blindfold and carrying a heavy stone weight, as Lee Kan in his disguised helmet appearance, until he saved his appearance by surprise, ordered him to become part of Wenu Anutu's idea was doing so. And shape-shifting, I could have realized, is that if there's a possibility for Matt to do that, the Brotherhood and Makuta have to also harness those powers too. And that's how Pterodax evolved into Taraga, doing exactly the way he got that mask of regeneration from Adam is unknown. And the set of Cracker, the promotive image of his box shows he's got two eyes because of from the Vaka heads. Even though I was like according to the film, he has one eye, and that's from the rubber piece with the Lego stud. So, and the film was a bit kind about that, because in 2008 it did reveal that Cracker did once had two eyes before until Goras did knock one of them. And the Toa Metro should have realized is, regardless of the Toa must prove themselves with deeds, what they did. The great discs did help at least was the Mabuzak's defeat, so they should have realized about that. But technically, the only idiots I could think, the only idiots it's in this film the only idiots story-wise in this film would have to be not Vakama but the rest of the other Toa, because they fell for Pterodax's words, and they should have realized as a Toa they're not allowed to be influenced on anything. As a Toa, they're not allowed to be influenced or convinced by anything. Ever heard of idealism? You'll know much about that in Batman. You'll understand more about that in Batman Begins. What that means. Means being an idealist, not to be influenced of anything. Of course they don't. Of course, that only belongs to certain franchises that could harness that kind of persona. Yeah. Anyway, this has been 29 minutes since I've been filming this, so I'm going to end it by saying, enjoy the. If you guys bought this film, I'm sure you'll enjoy this while it lasts. If you have favorite parts about it, and this is given, I think, a 4.3 out of 5. And well, I don't rate each specific, but I just want to say a great action-packed film. And this is Tao Mata called Bionicle 2: Legends of Metro Nui. This is called Bionicle 2: Legends of Metro Nui. Tao Mata 1888 signing off. I'll see you next with Batman Begins.